Whenever we're in a situation where we're communicating with someone, either we're coaching an employee or we're engaging with a member, on our side of the bridge is our understanding of the situation, our frame of reference. On the other side of the bridge is their view of the situation, their intention. Let's remove this. And in the middle is an understanding gap. Most people, when they coach and communicate, they coach and communicate from their side of the bridge. Now, what do I mean by that? Let me give you an example. Remember the bank manager who had to coach the salesperson that I talked about at the beginning? Well, her initial coaching was from her side of the bridge, that she had the knowledge to explain to him how to do the calls, that she could set call plans for him, that she could lead his behavior, that she had the experience, that she was right and had the authority. All of that's from her frame of reference. Now, standing over here on this side of the bridge is this poor fella thinking, I'm no good at this, and she's trying to fire me. No wonder people don't jump. Great coaches, great leaders, they coach and they communicate from the other side of the bridge. They get out of their own frame of reference, which of course you can't do if you're hijacked, which is why you have to be present, which is why you have to be soothed, which is you can't have all those thoughts. That's why you have to be aware of your thinking mind. You have to get out of your own frame of reference, out of your own thoughts, and come over to this side and start to think, what's happening with that person? What's going on with them? What are their interests? What are their needs? What are their emotional needs? That's empathy. Simple empathy. Just getting out of our own frame of reference, coming over to the other side of the bridge and thinking, what's happening with them? And finding out, by the way. Why don't we do this more often? It takes too much time. I do this presentation all over the world many, many times a year, and every single time I do it, that's what I hear. It takes too much time. And 10 years ago, I thought the same thing. Here's what I'm going to tell you. Time is exactly the reason that you want to do this. Because eventually, leading will take less time. Here's why. I want to give you another example. Dealing with a director of operations. On her side of the bridge is she's got this whole process of operations that she's got to run. So when someone signs up for a program, not just like your scenario, someone signs up for a program, there's a whole bunch of stuff that has to happen, right? They have to get registered, an invoice has to be sent, they have to get signed up, stuff has to be sent to them. Over on this side of the bridge is a salesperson who's signing people up, except they're not communicating the proper information. They're not giving all the details. They're not filling out the forms properly. And it's really mucking up the operational side. So I'm talking to her, and she's like, why can't they just fill out the darn forms? It takes like 5 minutes. She says, I've called him 3 times, I've emailed him, and he just won't do it. Right? And she's spending all this time having and of course the operations team are all getting all frustrated because this person won't do this, and they're having all these discussions. Now, over here on this side of the bridge is this fella who is an amazing person, very creative, very relationship-based, very poor at details. They trigger him. So, he knows he's supposed to fill the details out. He gets these messages saying, where is the form? And he triggers. Now, is he more likely to be able to fill out the forms? No, he's less likely. In fact, this is a story from my own company. I talked to him at a time when he was having to fill 3 or 4 of these out, and he literally couldn't function. Literally just couldn't function. Couldn't do it. Over here, she's saying, it only takes 5 minutes. Great, because she's detail-oriented. It's easy for her. She's in her frame of reference. And there's all this communication going back and forth, all this complaining and all this dealing, when if she simply came over here and said, well, tell me why you're having trouble with the forms. They start having a conversation. He starts to recognize that she's listening to him. He starts to recognize that she actually wants to help. He starts to soothe and calm a little bit. In the end, they actually come up with a process that helps him so he can get the forms done more easily that we actually then apply to all the salespeople. It's a better process than what we have now. Now, that conversation took about 10 minutes. It saved hours of back and forth discussions, of complaining, of dealing, of him being triggered. If you can get to the emotions driving people's behaviors, you will get the behaviors you need, and you won't spend so much time managing behaviors. And you know it's not just the behavior of the person, it's all the other people's behaviors who then get impacted. So you're spending your whole day managing behaviors.